You've been told repeatedly that your worth is measured in degrees, titles, and external recognition. But what if that were a lie? What if what really attracts others to you isn't your resume, but your presence? Today's world no longer pays for information. It pays for transformation. What you've experienced, what you've gone through, what you embody is infinitely more powerful than any certificate hanging on the wall. Behind your doubts, there's a truth you haven't yet fully embraced. You don't need authorization to be legitimate. Your simple authenticity, embraced without a mask, is already a wealth the world awaits. We grew up in a world that conditioned us to believe that the value of a human being is measured by papers, titles, and visible recognition. Since school, we've been told, work hard, accumulate diplomas, collect proof of your competence, and maybe one day you'll be recognized. This logic seems sensible, but it hides a great illusion. Because true recognition, the kind that touches the souls of others, is not found in a certificate hanging on a wall, but in what you transmit by your presence. There's a truth that society too often forgets. People aren't looking for a perfect expert. They're looking for someone who makes them feel transformed. They want to feel seen, understood, and supported. And no degree can guarantee that. You can meet someone with an impeccable academic record and yet feel a void in their energy, as if something essential is missing. Conversely, you can meet someone without official qualifications, but their simple way of being touches you deeply, to the point of changing your perception of yourself. Carl Jung spoke of inner authority. He said it wasn't about obtaining it, but about embodying it. It's a path that doesn't involve the approval of others, but rather the recognition of one's own truth. When you accept that your experience is your treasure, that your life experience is your teaching, you stop waiting for permission from outside. You become the authorization. The real trap of external legitimacy is that it perpetuates an endless cycle. You believe that you need even more learning, even more proof, even more validation to be enough. And in this race, you move away from who you really are. The soul doesn't need degrees to shine. It only needs you to give it space. So, look closely. The lie of legitimacy is constructed to keep you small, to make you wait for a green light that will never come. The moment you understand this is the moment you take back your power. Because deep down, it's not external recognition that opens doors. It's your energy, your truth, your courage to show yourself as you are that creates true legitimacy. Everything you've been through, everything you've endured, everything you've learned in silence, that's your true certification. The world loves to brandish diplomas as proof, but life itself is a teacher more powerful than any institution. It teaches you through trials, through failures, through rebirths, every pain transformed, every fracture turned into wisdom, every moment of despair followed by healing, weaves within you an authority that no one can imitate. When you tell your story, you don't just share memories, you offer a path. You become a mirror for those who walk in their own darkness. And that mirror is more valuable than 1,000 pages of theory, because it says, I've been there. I've felt what you feel. I've found a way through, and you can find it too. This language isn't taught in schools. It's etched into the soul through the battles experienced. This is why people sometimes choose to follow someone younger, seemingly less experienced, rather than a recognized expert. It's not a question of age or status. It's a question of resonance. Real-life history has a raw power that theory will never match. We trust someone who has been through the fire and comes back with the flame still burning in their eyes. But here's the catch. Many people hide their story. They see it as a weakness, a shame, a burden to be concealed in order to appear professional. They think their past is a stain that diminishes their image. In reality, it's exactly the opposite. What you call fragility is your bridge to others. What you call a scar is the living proof of your healing. Your experience is a treasure that no one can steal. You don't need an official document to validate your path because it is already written in your flesh, in your breath, in your gaze. Your story is your seal, your imprint, your unique signature. It is your deepest authority because it speaks directly to the hearts of those who hear it. Before your voice rises, even before your lips part, your energy is already speaking. It precedes your speech, envelops your presence, and conveys a silent message. People often believe that their words convince, their strategies seduce, their image impress. But the reality is more subtle. Energy doesn't lie. You can hide it behind a smile, impeccable attire, or polite language, but what you carry deep inside, others sense immediately. Take a moment to consider the significant encounters in your life. There are people who, without saying much, impose the obvious. Their mere presence soothes, inspires, or shakes things up. They don't force, they don't argue, they embody. Conversely, others can speak eloquently, multiply arguments, and line up evidence. But something rings hollow. Their energy doesn't support their words. It's like music whose melody is right, but whose instrument is out of tune. This is where true inner authority comes into play. If you doubt yourself, if you still believe you don't have the right to receive, if you wait for external validation to feel legitimate, it shows. Even if you don't say it, even if you think you've hidden it, the other person's unconscious picks up on your hesitation. And this hesitation weakens the bond. People don't follow what you proclaim. They follow what you vibrate. This is why Jung spoke of the shadow. As long as you refuse to honor your worth, as long as you believe you must ask permission to exist, your energy reveals this lack. But the day you accept, without a mask, that your truth is already sufficient, then your energy changes frequency. It becomes magnetic. People sense in you a solidity that surpasses words. Remember, what attracts is not perfection, but consistency. When your words, your gaze, your silence, and your energy say the same thing, you no longer need to convince. You are already credible, not through your arguments, but through the resonance you create. Energy speaks before words, and it is energy that opens hearts long before ears listen. Within each of us, there exists an ancient energy, a form of identity that is broader than just our personality, the archetype. Jung explained that these archetypes are universal patterns that live through us. They are not roles we invent, but forces we embody. And as long as you refuse to acknowledge your own, you cut yourself off from an inner power that can transform your life and the lives of others. The healer, for example, does not need to wear a white coat to heal. His medicine is his presence, his ability to listen, to contain, to soothe. The rebel, on the other hand, does not need to be in the street to protest. His energy is a flame that rejects conformity and opens new paths. The wise guide illuminates with his simple words, his clear visions, his way of simplifying chaos. The creator transmits the soul through art, gesture, expression. The alchemist finally unites the visible and the invisible, transforming the ordinary into the sacred. These archetypes aren't reserved for a select few. They already live within you. Perhaps you've felt them, but you've stifled them believing they weren't serious, not professional, not profitable. Yet it's by embodying them that you become magnetic. People don't always know how to explain it, but they sense something obvious. I have to work with this person. It's not logic that decides, it's the unconscious that responds to the vibration of your archetype. Most people spend their lives hiding what's most precious to them. They force themselves to fit into boxes, to adopt respectable masks. But the mask doesn't inspire. It's the lived archetype, without excuses or compromise, that touches and transforms. You don't need to copy an external model. Your strength lies in the archetype that life has sculpted within you. When you stop denying your core energy, you no longer need to convince. You no longer need to sell your authenticity. You become a presence that naturally attracts, because the world isn't looking for well-constructed characters, it's looking for living archetypes, and you are called to be one. For generations, we have been taught to view money as something suspect, almost incompatible with sincerity of heart. We have been told repeatedly, if your gift is spiritual, it must be free. If you help, you should not receive. If you serve, it is a sacrifice. These beliefs, inherited from ancient systems, have stifled the power of thousands of souls who had so much to offer. They have kept brilliant beings in poverty, guilt, and doubt. But the truth is greater. Receiving is not an act of selfishness. It is a sacred act. When someone offers you money in exchange for your support, it's not just a transaction. It's an acknowledgement. It's a commitment on their part to transform themselves. It's an inner yes to their own path. Money in this context becomes a symbol of exchanged energy, concrete proof that transformation is honored. You don't take, you circulate. You don't take anything away. You allow a flow. For think for a moment, what happens if you give without ever receiving? Your energy drains, your heart empties, your gift becomes a burden. But when you allow the exchange to be balanced, your giving becomes sustainable. You no longer help from a place of obligation, but from a space of fullness. You no longer teach by emptying yourself, but by overflowing. This is how money can become a sacred tool. It supports your mission. It honors your time. It allows your light to continue to shine. To reject money is to reject part of the cycle of life. Everything in nature functions by circulation. Water, air, light. Nothing is fixed. Money, too, is an energy that must circulate. When it comes to you, it is not to weigh you down, but so that you, in turn, can create, nourish, and transmit. And the more you welcome it with integrity, the more it becomes a natural extension of your mission. The real shift in perspective is this. Money isn't an obstacle to your spirituality. It can be its servant. It doesn't diminish your gift. It empowers it to exist more broadly. Every time you're paid for what you truly offer, you allow your impact to expand. Accepting payment for who you are isn't just right. It's necessary for your truth to continue to shine. Stop reducing your worth to what the outside world dictates. Your pain, your story, your trials are keys, not weaknesses. The time has come to stop hiding and recognize that your presence is a gift. Stop trying to look like what is expected of you. Fully embody who you are. And remember, receiving for what you offer is not a selfish act. It is a sacred act that nourishes the circle of life. So, choose today to assume your role, your archetype, your energy. The world does not wait for masks. It waits for your truth. Dare to show yourself. Dare to be paid for who you really are.